Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome members of the public are advised the meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and Council's website. I'll do the acknowledgement of country. Nillumbik Shire Council respectfully acknowledges and recognises the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung as a traditional owner of the land on which Nillumbik is located. We pay tribute to all First Peoples living in the Nillumbik Shire, give respect to elders past, present and emerging, and extend our respect to all First Peoples. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Councillor Perkins, do you mind doing the good governance pledge, please?
Thank you. As councillors, we're mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we take will affect the people and the environment of Nillumbik, now and in the future. Hi, Carlotta. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and for the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open and honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Father Stephen Mankaris from St Mankaris Coptic Orthodox Church in Yarrabat. Thank you.
Gracious and loving God, as we gather together, we pause to reflect on the blessing of this past year and the hope that lies ahead. We thank you for the gift of the community, for the dedication of those who serve in this council, and for the opportunity to work together for the common good. As this joyful Christmas season, we remember the message of peace, love, and goodwill to all. May these values guide our decision and strengthen our unity as we serve the people of the Shire of Nillumbik. As we enter the new year 2026, grant us wisdom in our deliberation, compassion in our leadership, and courage to pursue justice and prosperity for all. Help us to be mindful of those in need, to foster harmony in our community, and to work with integrity and humility. Bless our families, our neighbors, and all those who call this place home. May the coming year be filled with hope, health, and renewed purpose. We ask for your guidance in all that we do, now and always. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm moving on to apologies and leave of absence. We have no apologies by any councillors to note. Next is declarations of conflict of interest, which we have one.
Through the chair, item 161 this evening, I have a general conflict of interest in that item, and so will absent myself from that at the appropriate time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to presentations. Before we do, I'd just like to acknowledge the youth that was killed in Diamond Creek earlier this morning or late last night, and we'd just like to pass on our condolences to his family. Councillor Perkins, would you like to come up?
I'm making a presentation to the Diamond Creek Primary School if representative will come forward. Thank you. Your name? Terry. So thanks very much, Terry. I'll get you to speak in a moment, but I've got a few words to say. Diamond Creek Primary School will receive $500 for representing Victoria in the Energy Breakthrough Human Powered Vehicle, or HPV, competition. The program is open to all grade 5 and 6 students at the school, with only 12 places available each year. Selection is highly competitive, with students required to complete 2 beep tests, participate in an interview process, and receive a behaviour rating from their teachers to be considered. Once selected, students are expected to maintain their fitness by training outside the program. Many team members are already actively engaging in local sport, with 9 students involved in the Diamond Creek Basketball Club, 6 playing with the Diamond Creek Footy Club, and others participating in various sporting clubs across Nillumbik. This achievement reflects the students' dedication, resilience and strong connection to the local community. We congratulate the team on their achievements and wish them every success. Oh, can we get a photo? Yeah, tell us a bit more if you like.
Okay, so the event was actually held last month, and we are pleased to report out of 100 schools we came 21st, which for our little school of 236 was amazing because the cutoff is 200 people plus, and we're against schools that had 1,000 plus kids. So for our little school to get 21st, we were so proud for them to get that far. So the event's actually got 3 components. So it's got a sustainability / climate change kind of purpose behind it all, where the kids have to do a lot of research and they have to put their money where their mouth is, basically. So they have to show that they're leading a change in climate, in the climate change and in sustainability. So they do that all at school. They do projects learning about, what we can do as a school and at home. We also have to know all the rules around the race and the vehicle components. So for kids that have done nothing other than ride a bike, to learn all the parts of a bike and what they do and, know what they're made out of and stuff, that's a big task for young kids. So they have to learn all that as well. So that's called our scrutineering and our presentation. And then the other third of it is the actual race. So it is quite involved. It takes us right from term 1 through to term 4 and countless hours of training and dedication put into it. They've got a 20-minute presentation that they can't have any script for, so they have to know it off by heart. And trust me, when you get half an hour at lunchtime a couple of times a week, that takes a long, long time. But yeah, we couldn't have been prouder of this year's group. They've really represented our school and the wider community really, really well. And it's grants like these that help this program go, because it's completely self-funded, so the school doesn't put any money into it. We get this program off and running by grants and sponsorships and donations. So, the $500 went a long way. That basically paid for our entry fees into the actual race as well, which, if we didn't have that, we'd have to be paying for it out of, more sponsorships, more donations and stuff. So we really appreciate it. It goes a long way for, programs like these. So, yeah, thank you.
Oh, no,
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Councillor Brooker, would you like to come up? Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to acknowledge this evening the Diamond Valley Basketball Association announced Association of the Year and their Chief Executive Officer Administrator of the Year. So we wanted to acknowledge the outstanding achievements of the Diamond Valley Basketball Association, named the Association of the Year for 2025. DVBA, they certainly don't seek this recognition, but they most definitely have earned it. So I would say that this honour reflects the dedication and passion of their community, the volunteers, the board members, the referees, coaches, clubs, players, parents, staff and sponsors, whose commitment has built one of Victoria's leading sporting associations. You always have to, I think, refer to the metrics with the DVBA, because 9,943 participants. Think about that for a moment. Almost 10,000. 4,852 junior domestic players, 1976 senior domestic, 500 junior representative, 80 senior representative, 2,500 community program participants. They have a diverse playing base, participation made up of 66% boys and 34% girls, and in senior competitions, 83% men and 17% women. The recognition comes as the association approaches its 50th anniversary in 2026, and that is also 50 years since the original Diamond Valley Sports Stadium commenced. It's a completely different looking beast now, but it's a milestone that celebrates 5 decades of growth, resilience and community connection. It marks the significant progress of the past 5 years, during which the board has strengthened the organisation and honoured its history. I also want to congratulate Pat Delizio, awarded Administrator of the Year, whose leadership and commitment has made him serve at every layer of the DVBA, from grassroots to NBL 1, and transformed the way they operate. This award, again, is not sought, but it is most definitely earned. These achievements reflect what is possible when a community works together with shared purpose. Congratulations to everyone who contributes to the spirit of the Diamond Valley Basketball Association. Go Eagles! Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Moving on to the confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes, please?
Yes, I will confirm the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
As per the papers.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Cope. I'll now put this motion to a vote. All in favour? Motion has been carried unanimously. There are no petitions tonight, so we'll move on to the questions from the gallery. Tonight's public questions all relate to the proposed BMX Park project at Challenger Street Reserve in Diamond Creek. Before answering each of these questions, I want to let all those interested in the project know that the Participate Nillumbik web page for the project has recently been updated with all the current information, as well as easy links to previous council reports on the project. A number of the answers to tonight's questions can already be found on that webpage, and a link to the answers to tonight's questions will be added to that site. I would encourage all those interested in the project to sign up for updates, as the site will continue to be updated ahead of Council's planning application in 2026. A reminder that the planning application process will be the next opportunity for community consultation on the project. This will involve Council advertising the project and inviting the community to make a submission, written objection or letter of support on the more detailed proposal. This question was submitted by Rebecca Bosch. Question 1, on 30th of September, BMX jumps and community recreation park concept plan consultation under sustainability implications, point 20. Protection measures for high value vegetation and the existing wetlands will be incorporated in a site-specific environmental management plan which will be developed prior to construction. My question is, in council meetings since the 30th of September, reference made by councillors to the Challenger Street Reserve continues to only mention grassy areas and tree canopies. Has there been a full environmental impact assessment or in NSC planning to undertake a full environmental impact assessment to determine the negative effects in the surrounding wetlands during construction and once the BMX site is in use? Our response to that question is further environmental studies are currently underway. These studies will guide the environmental impact assessment, which will inform a future planning application in 2026. Question 2, in the online feedback survey, lighting was mentioned. Minimum lighting required for public safety is being proposed. The consultation asks respondents where safety lighting should be prioritised. My question is, how will safety lighting be possible without artificial lighting, and is the impact of artificial lighting being considered with respect to the impact on nocturnal fauna in the surrounding wetland and bush areas? Response is the impact of any proposed lighting will be considered as part of the environmental impact assessment, which will inform a future planning application in 2026. Matthew Atwell has a question. The Diamond Creek Recreational Precinct BMX Park planned for Challenger Street Reserve is in a designated bushfire-prone area. This plan restricts emergency vehicle access throughout the reserve. The Council's Bushfire Mitigation Strategy 2019 to 2023 covers private and public land bushfire mitigation, building stronger and more resilient communities and working to strengthen the ability of agencies to deliver coordinated bushfire mitigation programs. The strategy is underpinned by community-centric outcomes, including shared responsibility, shared obligation, and building strong relationships with agencies. How does the Diamond Creek Recreation Precinct BMX Park plan for Challenger Street Reserve align with this strategy? The response is that council officers are currently completing further investigative planning and design work to prepare a final concept plan. As this work is ongoing, there is no confirmed restricted emergency vehicle access. The CFA will be consulted at later stages of the project. Question 2, with regards to the Diamond Creek Recreation Precinct BMX Park planned for Challenger Street Reserve, we local residents have continually asked about the alternative sites that were considered. We have written requests for this list in order to find a more appropriate site, but have not received written responses. Councillor Brooker provided this list, reading from his phone after the PCC meeting on the 11th of November. Challenger Street, 145 Allendale Road, Lot 1, 73 Daring Street, Diamond Creek Regional Play Space, Allan Marshall Reserve, Allister Knox Park and Pitt Street. Challenger Street Reserve is more biodiverse and of higher core habitat value than any of these other sites. Objectives in NSC Biodiversity Strategy 2024-2034 consider biodiversity impacts and opportunities in day-to-day operations and when making council decisions, and B, embed consideration of biodiversity protection and enhancement within council's decision-making processes and into new council policy strategies and plans. The selection criteria did not include current use of site or environmental significance. How does selecting Challenger Street Reserve align with Nillumbik Shire Council biodiversity strategy? The response is the aforementioned sites were considered as part of the original site selection in 2022. This site selection process was prior to council being successful in its Growing Suburbs Fund grant application. Council's further assessment of alternative sites in 2025 has been based on the following criteria. It's located within Diamond Creek, close proximity to the original informal BMX jump sites, outside the 1 in 100 year floodplain as determined by Melbourne Water, recognising relevant heritage and planning overlays. Outside the 200 metre buffer from Diamond Creek, thereby avoiding areas of cultural heritage sensitivity and removing the need for a cultural heritage management plan. Based on these criteria, the other sites considered in 2022 were not viable. Challenger Street Reserve is the only council-owned and managed site that met all 4 criteria. These criteria have and will continue to guide the project's scope, site feasibility and regulatory compliance requirements. Further environmental studies are currently underway. These studies will guide the environmental impact assessment, which will inform a future planning application in 2026. The next questions were from Jacinda Brown. Question 1. As a resident whose property adjoins Challenger Street Reserve, I have not received any notification from Council about the Diamond Creek Recreational Precinct BMX Park plan, nor was I notified about or directed to the Participate Nillumbik survey to have my say on the plan. I received letters for speed humps and tree trimming, This plan directly impacts my family as the entrance is just 3.5 metres from the wall of my house, and I found out about this plan by word of mouth, as have many other residents. How does this align with the Council Plan 2025 to 2029 under responsible governance and community leadership? We strengthen governance and community leadership to ensure transparent, inclusive decision-making processes that engage all residents, build trust and create sustainable solutions for Nillumbik's future. The response is the recent public consultation involved a letter titled Notice of Development at Challenger Street Reserve, sent via Australia Post to properties that bordered the Challenger Street Reserve. Of the 47 letters sent, Council only received one letter returned to sender. Further advertising of the proposed BMX park included on-site signage, a total of 3 Corflute signs, social media, Participate Nillumbik e-newsletter, direct emails to those who signed up to receive updates on the project, signage at other council facilities including Altham Dirt Jumps, Diamond Creek Skate Park and Hurstbridge Skate Park. Question 2. A site environment management plan is currently underway for the Diamond Creek Recreation Precinct, BMX Park, plan for Challenger Street Reserve, which is subject to ESO 1, is a critical conservation area and is a strategic and regional habitat link covering 190 hectares. The SEMPS plans is assessing the site and adjoining wetlands for minimal impact of the plan itself and does not take into account the appropriateness of the site in accordance with the Nillumbik Shire Council Biodiversity Strategy 2024 to 2034. 1.2 demonstrate leadership by improving the biodiversity values of council-owned and managed land. A, actively avoid and minimise the impact of council operations such as capital works projects and maintenance activity on native vegetation and biodiversity. B, increase the conservation values. For example, restoration and improved connectivity of council's reserves, wetlands and roadsides. Also covered in Focus Area 3. Wildlife who live and breed within the reserve are often observed in all different areas of the reserve, including crossing the planned access road, foraging in the planned car park and BMX track site itself. If improving biodiversity values, minimising impacts on biodiversity and increasing conservation values is in your number 1 focus area, how can this plan possibly align with the Nillumbik Shire Council Biodiversity Strategy? Our response is further environmental studies are currently underway. These studies will guide the environmental impact assessment, which will inform a future planning application in 2026. Jason Morrison has asked, given that Nillumbik Council has stated a commitment to providing responsible governance and community leadership by ensuring transparent, inclusive decision-making that engages all residents, what reasons can the councils offer to explain the ongoing, seemingly deliberate absence of information provided to ratepayers to inform them of the intention to direct both ratepayers and state government funds toward the destruction of the Challenger Street wetlands for the purposes of establishing a BMX jump track without any justification in the form of environmental impact assessment or cultural heritage assessments? The response is further environmental studies are currently underway. These studies will guide the environmental impact assessment, which will inform a future planning permit application in 2026. The proposed development area sits outside of the buffer zone of cultural sensitivity from Diamond Creek and does not require a mandatory cultural heritage management plan. Question 2. Given that the development of a BMX track facility will result in additional traffic and car parking in the immediate proximity, what environmental impacts have the councils considered regarding waste pollution and contaminant runoffs into the wetlands? And what costs to ratepayers have been considered for the protection of the current ecological balance? Our response is further environmental studies are currently underway. These studies will guide the environmental impact assessment, which will inform a future planning application in 2026. Okay. Moving on to reports of advisory committees. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Cope.
May I recommend that the council notes the minutes of the advisory committee meeting reported in attachment 1. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, it's a new advisory committee has met once with the new members, and it was a very interesting meeting with a very diverse group, and it was encouraging that they're going to fully participate in the next year coming, and they want to present a few things to the council in the new year. So, yeah, I applaud the guys and the new members on that committee. Thank you.
Great. Councillor Brooker, no? Okay. Any other councillors would like to speak? Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving to the officer reports. The next item tonight is Risk and Safety Quarterly Report, September 2025. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Demery.
I'd like to move as per the papers, so up on the board there.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'm happy to second that, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Demery, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would. The Audit and Risk Committee is a statutory committee of council made up of a number of three external members and a group of officers, and this report was myself as Mayor and Councillor Joyner as Deputy Mayor. The report broadly touches on eight areas. So risk management, business continuity, anti-fraud and corruption controls, insurance premiums, incident management and insurance claims, strategies and initiatives, and occupational health and safety. Again, it's a very structured report. It looks across all areas and is at a high level. We look through the incidents. It's interesting to note that 72 of the incidents reported came from the operations centre or operations area of council, which I think is significant. It is 12 times more than any of the other, and 72 times more than one other directorate. So it does sort of show that if we look at the major areas, that of property, public liability and occ health and safety, it tends to be out in the real world that these things happen. So I would urge all the guys at the operations centre who are out on the road, and people, if you're driving past them or around them, take care, because they are dealing with sharp tools, lots of heavy equipment and things that are going on. So I think it's very significant, and it does highlight that we need to, as an organisation, be wary in these areas. Also, the other one is when you're driving as a council officer, we had 11 incidents in that quarter, and again we'd like to see that come down, and I'm sure Councillor Brooker would agree that if we get this roundabout sorted out the front here, that might help with that. But all in all, it's a solid report, nothing too out of the ordinary, but again, let's stay safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McCarry, would you like to speak? Okay. Any other councillors like to speak? I'll now put this motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. The next item is the Audit and Risk Committee minutes, November 2025. Audit and Risk Committee Charter and Annual Self-Assessment. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councillor Demaric.
Again, as per the papers, just up on the board there.
Great. Do I have a seconder? Yes. Thank you, Councillor Cope. Councillor Demaric, would you like to speak?
I'd just perhaps like to make one alteration. We've got Councillor Joyner as an apology and attending the meeting in the same breath, so perhaps that might need to be fixed up in the minutes.
Okay. That was a late apology. That was a late apology.
You
so
were a
probably
late apology,
messed
but
up.
you definitely were apologised for. So, again, important committee. This is mainly around the introduction of AI and the concerns raised at the previous Audit and Risk Committee around the possibility of, and again, as you would notice from the report, most of this is confidential and it's around these things being loaded up into AI or AI tools or AI platforms. So it looks at those issues. Again, the Audit and Risk Committee does a fantastic job. This sitting of the committee, we welcomed Lisa Tripodi and really valued her input, despite it coming from somewhere near Dubai at the time. But she will be assured us she will be here in person later in the year. But mainly, as I say, it's the charter around a bit of self-regulation about the members being very wary of AI, and so, as I said, I'll put that to the committee, to the council.
Thank you. Councillor Cope, would you like to speak? Any other councillors like to speak? I'll now put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The next item is Community Engagement Policy. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Thank you. I'll move this, Mayor, as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second the motion, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Mackay, would you like to speak?
Yes, just briefly, that we've done a review on our community engagement policy. This has taken on board internal and external commentary and the evolution of community involvement through the life of the previous policy, 21 to 25. And the revised policy reflects these and strengthens our commitment to meaningful, inclusive and transparent engagement. So I just wanted to highlight that community expectations around engagement have evolved and people want more transparency, earlier involvement and inclusive opportunities to shape council. On average, council undertakes 15 engagement projects a year and the level of activity varies throughout the year, with some periods experience high concentration of projects and engagement is generally paused during the Christmas and New Year holiday period. I just wanted to highlight that all of our engagement platforms are also increasing. So in the last 3 years, we have increased site visits to participate in Nillumbik from over 18,000 to now over 24,000. So we're trying to keep people informed at all times. So our top 3 preferences to provide feedback are online surveys, in-person and focus groups. And we tried something new this year at some of our major events, was to have roving reviews. Instead of having a tent, we got out and about and spoke to people, and that seemed to be very beneficial for us gathering information. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brooker, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Look, I made some cautionary remarks on this policy back in August. Reviewing my notes from that time, they were rather prescient of some of the feedback we've received in the questions for this evening. But addressing the policy itself, I think the engagement policy sets out the apparatus that we're going to use as council to engage as broadly, widely, meaningfully as we possibly can. It does say that council needs to set clear objectives and to set clear measurements when it undertakes this engagement. And I think if that's one part of the apparatus, I think that's particularly important, clear objectives and clear measurements. Some provisions of the engagement policy that I do think are important are reporting back to council and two, reporting back to the community. It seems to me if we're going to go out for engagement, we need to report back, and that includes reaching out to participants to advise of the outcome and how their participation influenced decision making. So I think if we can do that, that is really closing the loop for community engagement when we're informing people how their engagement with us shaped the outcomes. I would say as well, I think the high point for mine in our community engagement for 2025 was the Indara proposal at Eltham Lower Park. I think we gained a lot of information through that engagement process that we didn't otherwise have. And I think as a council, we came to a good decision because of that engagement that gave us some more knowledge and some more information about what we were dealing with there down at the Eltham Lower Park and in relation to the endangered species that we have down there that is being re-established, the Eltham copper butterfly at Hones Hill. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors like to speak? I'll now put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. The next item tonight is Eltham Town Activity Centre Special Rate Levy 2026 to 2029. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councillor Demarik.
Again, as per the papers up on the screens.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Demarik, would you like to speak?
I would love to. I do note that we have the former president, and I assume still president of the Eltham Chamber of Commerce, Nicole Livingston, in the chamber tonight. So obviously very keen to make sure this goes through and keeping an eye on us all. Well, they say keeping the bastards honest. The Eltham Chamber of Commerce does benefit from a special charge scheme levelled on the businesses in Arthur Street, Commercial Place, Dudley Street, Main Road, Prior Street and Lux Street in the Eltham Town Activity Centre. They again have gone out to their members and surveyed, had overwhelming support for a special charge scheme, and it's a very well thought out special charge scheme. They've decided to make some changes. They looked at almost 200 formulas and settled on 70% of net annual value and 30% on the square meterage of the property. And then all of that is then how they will divide up the pie, which they've set at a modest, which I think is the same for the last 3 years, at $143,000. And the $143,000, I think, for what they do with that is quite amazing. And Nicole and the committee do put a lot of work into this. Things like the events in the town square, the Jazz Festival. And I think one of the highlights from this year and the work they've been doing is the website. It is growing. Its usefulness to the participants is lifted, I would say, twofold, and really looking forward to the next iteration as people really get to understand how to make use of it. So it is with these factors in mind that it's a modest claim that the amount of work that does go in and the amount of work put in by Nicole and her team is phenomenal, and the benefit to each one of the traders is outstanding. So I would happily put this forward as a as a motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perkins, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Just want to echo Councillor Dramerich's words there. The special levy for the Eltham Town Centre, it's a really important one. It's one of three that we currently have in the Shire. There's one in Diamond Creek and also one for the Hurstbridge Traders Association. And congratulations to Frank and the team, to Tanya, especially Economic Development and Tourism Lead. This is probably not, I believe, the best thing we can do in supporting local businesses in the Shire, because what it does is helps them generate some income to manage themselves, by having a team like Nicole has, self-starting, motivated local people who've got the ability to drive an income and then spend that money locally. I think it is the best thing we can do in terms of supporting economic development, as I said. So, it's a great report. More power to you. Congratulations, Nicole, and your team. Annual value of $143,000. Importantly, I think it's people who pay the special rate levy, they don't always understand that money's collected go straight back to the Chamber of Commerce. The council doesn't take a cent of it. And I think sometimes special levies fall away when there's always people that don't want to pay the special levy, but when the word goes out that, if you don't support this special levy, you'll get a discount on your rates. Well, the truth is that, you do pay a little bit less in rates, but the money's going back to support, the Eltham Chamber of Commerce and their activities directly. Without the special levy, the Chamber of Commerce would cease to exist, and so would all those wonderful events and the website and everything else that it does year on year. So, happy to support it. Great work, everyone, and I'm sure the motion will get unanimous support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak?
I just wanted to highlight some of the great things that this levy raises that we all in Eltham and other areas get to enjoy. So various live music and entertainment, special activities for Mother's Day and Halloween, the Eltham Christmas Market, which was a great success last weekend, food and wine lunches, website, etc. So keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you. Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Mayor. Look, I just want to acknowledge as well Nicole in the chamber this evening is also on the Economic Development Advisory Committee, so serving in various parts for council. Look, the Eltham Chamber of Commerce have engaged with businesses affected by the special rates scheme through face-to-face discussions, digital surveys. The report speaks to 38 businesses formally responding to the consultation and 76 of them expressing support for the renewal of the special charge scheme. Given that there are about 190 businesses or so in Eltham impacted, I would suggest the Eltham Chamber of Commerce do have some work to do. They have to go through their own community engagement process, I think, to inform properly, as Councillor Perkins said, all of the businesses in Eltham as to the very significant benefits of contributing to the scheme. They're going to do that through a letter being sent to each property owner and tenant to advise of council's intention to declare a special rate levy and instructions on how to provide submissions, and if they are in support or against that will be provided in that letter, plus there will be a public notice. In the document, it outlines the thinking of the Eltham Chamber of Commerce. There are some good ideas here. Councillor McKay has spoken to some, the Food and Wine Festival. They sponsor council events as well through the raising of this amount of money. So what we're really seeing is in the digital space as well, the website, strengthening what has demonstrably worked in the preceding 5 years is, I think, what they're wanting to do, and as a blueprint for the next 5. As I say, they'll have to do their own engagement to get the scheme up and approved next year. Thank you.
Any other councillors like to speak? Okay, I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to Community Assessment Panel. Do I have a mover for this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll move that as per the papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Mackay, would you like to speak?
Yes, this is to assign our Community Assessment Panel, which is a panel of independent community members that review assessments for grants, etc., as a mechanism for that to be impartial and away from the councillor group and provide recommendations. And we have got 7 nominees that were reviewed with their merit, skills, expertise, and considering a diverse representation of views and backgrounds. I'd just like to highlight that we'd always love to see as many applications as possible so we can have the most robust panel representing our community. So it's a voluntary group that we selected on an annual basis and appointed for 1 term to assess and provide objective advice and recommendations related to applications and nominations for a range of community programs. And just note that it's not a decision-making body. Officers will consider recommendations by the panel, and then a final recommended outcome for community programs is made by the appropriate delegates to the council for consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Brooker, would you like to speak?
Thank you. Look, in part, the panel is a response to a Victorian Auditor General's report designed to separate councillors from the assessment of community grants. The Auditor General's report into the delivery of community grants in local government, where one of the recommendations under the broad area of fraud, corruption controls was to exclude, and I'm quoting, councillors from assessing and making recommendations on grant applications. So I think the feeling is by excluding councillors, there can be no vested interests, no special pet projects, no sleight of hand, no nods, no winks, anything like that. So that is what we're ensuring here, with the caveat there is nothing in the Auditor General's report about councillors being excluded from decision-making, and our own officer report into triennial funding makes the point that councillors can endorse or amend recommendations. So that is to change the recommendations. I just wanted to say it also references the Smarty Grants platform for submitting these community grants. I think I've had to use that platform. It is a very user-friendly platform that even I was able to navigate, so it is a good choice to have our community grants administered through the Smarty Grants platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? Okay, I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried 6. Oh, okay. Against? Okay, carried. Moving on to the council expenses. Oh, Councillor Mackay, do you mind?
Thank you. Yes, I'd love to endorse the 7 applicants to the Community Assessment Panel. Naomi Bishop, Kate Pools, Anne Lynch, Sylvia Josephine Zeal, Rachel Busbridge, Marlwood Ryder and David Chasemore. And the rest as per the papers.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is the Council Expenses Policy 2025. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council adopts the Council Expenses Policy 2025 per Attachment 1.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope? Great. Councillor Joy, would you like to speak?
Yeah, not much to say about this one, just that the policy's been reviewed to make sure that it's compliant with the Local Government Act 2020. And essentially this is just an administrative policy for, as the name suggests, councillor expenses. And if anything, it's tightened the rules up a little bit. So, yeah, mostly an administrative process, this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Coate, would you like to speak? No. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Brooker?
Thank you. Council expenses are reported in the council annual report. They're updated quarterly on the website. So I think there is quite a lot of disclosure as regards councillor expenses. In my observations of these expenses going back to 2016 when first elected and comparing them with other councils, I would say Nillumbik councillor expense claims are less than comparable councils and councillors and less than what councillors are entitled to claim. That is what you would conclude by looking at our expenses. I would say that if you refer to the Know Your Council website, it outlines the average cost per councillor for expenses. I have done that, and I think it is worth recording the costs of Nillumbik councillors for 24-25 was $44,500 per annum. That include training, travel, mobile, internet, council allowances, etc. And that compared to $105,500 per councillor in Hume, who did have the caveat that they had increased IT costs this year, and so they expanded their range of IT costs for their councillor cohort. $62,500 in Melton, $75,600 in Casey, $72,300 in the Mornington Peninsula, $60,100 in Cardinia, $86,400 in Wyndham. So I would say our community is paying less, and I would argue our community is getting more. One reform that has been made into the expenses is that, and this most commonly applies to travel expenses, and that needs to be completed within 3 months of that expense being incurred. And this will avoid any backup of expense claims and avoid any councillor making a claim in the final months in office, for instance, that is greater than the 3 months prescribed period. There's a whole lot of other material about training, but the overall point to make is that, you know, the training that is given to council is 20% of our councillor allowance. That is a limit. That really, you know, you cannot exceed the limit. So there are these controls on councillor expenses in Nillumbik with the limits that we have in place. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Okay, I'll now put the motion to a vote. Anybody else want to speak on it? Sorry. No. Okay. I'll put the motion to a vote. Oh. Putting the motion to a vote. All in favour? Okay, carried unanimously. Next item is the Nillumbik Festival and Event Triennial Program 2026 to 2029. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Thank you. I'll move that Council 1 ceases the current process to allocate new 3-year funding agreements for events and festivals, noting that the internal audit of the grants program has been completed and identified structural improvements required in Council's policy assessment framework, governance controls and documentation. The Parliamentary Public Accounts and Estimates Committee, PAEC, report reinforces the need for a strengthened oversight and best practice grant management. In Council's strategic context and funding priorities have evolved since the EOI was released. 2, Council extends all existing grant recipients for a further 12 months under the current arrangements, plus CPI, to ensure continuity of service, fairness and community benefit while the policy and framework are reviewed and strengthened. 3, the Council requests officers to undertake a full review and update of the events and festivals policy, associated procedures, assessment criteria and governance processes, ensuring alignment with relevant findings from the internal audit recommendations and the PAEC inquiry, Council's statutory obligations under the Local Government Act, and principles of equity, diversity, fairness and community outcomes, ensuring these are clearly embedded and measurable within the revised framework. 4. Council receives a revised events and festivals funding framework and updated policy by July 2026 for consideration prior to initiating a new expression of interest process. And 5, Council advises all affected stakeholders, including existing recipients and EOI applicants of a Council's decision, and outlined the review process timing to ensure transparency and fairness to all stakeholders.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Perkins, would you like to speak?
I don't need to say a lot. I certainly won't say a lot. But what I will say is that, fortunately, throughout the current process, everyone that was running a current festival applied for a grant. The report speaks to itself if people want to read the report. But what this decision does is extends their funding for a further 12 months under the existing arrangements until we start again on this process next year. Thank you.
Councillor Brooker, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mayor. These events are some of the more forward-facing activities in Nillumbik. The festivals are attended by thousands in Diamond Creek and Eltham. Others have run for many years. And I think those close observers of council processes would have noticed that was not the motion that is in the documents we have before us this evening. What we have done is really given ourselves 12 months to have another, I think, assessment of how well, how targeted, how the community events we currently have are being delivered. So what council are trying to do is to recognise the existing traditional events, which for many are permanent dates in their calendar, and at the same time refresh the program with possibly some new entrants gaining a foothold or establishing their own culture or their own niche within Nillumbik. At the same time, doing both of those things without significantly changing the budget constraints that we operate within. So we are seeking to extend our current events and examine some new entrants. So that is what this process that we've outlined in this motion will be taking place over the next 12 months, and then we'll be going through the triennial program, I believe, once again. And then the community panel will do its thing, make determinations on the assessment of those grants and how closely aligned they are to council objectives, the council plan, these other documents that we have. So that is where we've landed on the Nillumbik event and triennial program. A pause for a year and then another look at reintroducing the triennial funding program, which is what a lot of the participants said they needed certainty about, that made us go to that 3-year format in the first place. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? No. Okay, I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to Jason Avenue Special Charge Scheme, Eltham, intention to declare. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Again, as per the papers, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Demerick. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, thank you. I will second.
Thank you. Councillor Demerick, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. The special charge scheme is the process by which residents are able to petition council to have their roads sealed, or to have a group sort of do some sort of activity in their local area. In November 2022, the residents of Jason Avenue got together and petitioned council to to have a special charge scheme to seal the road, Jason Avenue, between Homestead Road and Fitzsimmons Lane. 8 properties are involved, and a council has a significant holding, or the Crown Land has a significant holding, which council is the committee of management for. So we proceeded with the process from the 25th of March 2025, and we have now got to a situation where 62% of the residents are in favour. So the process is at this stage believed to cost in the vicinity of $320,000, as said, over 8 properties, with council having responsibility for a large section. The council cost of this process will be about $68,000. So it's not a small change, but we look as though we will be proceeding with it. So congratulations to the residents of Jason Avenue on being successful in this, and we'll look forward to it happening into the new year. Cheers.
Thank you. Councillor McKay, would you like to speak? No, any other councillors like to speak? I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Next item tonight is the Kindergarten Infrastructure Services Plan update. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Yes, I move the recommendation as per the papers, Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Demaric.
Yes, please, Mayor.
Councillor Brooker, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, there's around 70% of children in Nillumbik are attending standalone sessional preschool. There is a clear preference for this service. I will just focus on recommendation 3 of the report, and just to read it out, advocates to the Department of Education to enact the requirement of the Kindergarten Funding Guide, being that kindergartens must optimise available spaces, place and spaces, i.e. increase group size to full capacity, employ an additional assistant, or use a rotational model to support access to kindergarten. Why is that important? If you read the report, there are 102 children that are on a waiting list for a sessional standalone place in Nillumbik for 2026. By lifting enrolments to licensed capacity, this would go some direction in this problem being solved. Attending a long daycare service or a sessional kindergarten outside the Shire is where the parents of those 102 4-year-olds are currently, I'm sure, scrambling to enrol in. That is to say, their kindergarten probably may not be their first choice, but they will still, there's unmet demand for those places, so they will get kindergarten of some type. It is completely correct that, as described in point 37, that council officers encouraged licence capacity to meet the Best Start, Best Life targets. The tables in the Early Years Infrastructure Plan illustrates the difference between the preferred capacity and the licensed capacity. Certainly the preschools with a licensed capacity of 30 but are sitting at 22 enrolments could be doing more to meet the unmet demand, as could a centre licensed to 33 but has a preferred capacity of 27. It's fabulous if you have been fortunate enough to get in through the enrolment process to obtain a place. However, it is the fair position, I believe it is the equitable position and the, I believe, correct position to advocate for those children who have not been able to get a space in the preschool kindergarten of their choice, of which the statistics tell us 70% of parents prefer. So before I get a lot of blowback from people saying, you know, I've got no understanding of the constraints of kindergartens and so on, I think that is probably true. But I do have an understanding if you don't get in, you are nowhere. you have no kindergarten there at all. Well, you'll have somewhat different than what your preferred choice is. So there's challenges at kindergartens in meeting their licence numbers. I don't resolve from that. But I think the overarching paramount importance is that the 70% of parents who want their children to attend a standalone kindergarten in Nillumbik, we ought to make the adjustments we can for those children to be enrolled. That's my position on the Kindergarten Infrastructure Services Plan update. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Demerick, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Councillor Brooker concentrated on point 3. I'd like to concentrate on point 4. While it is important that we do maximise the assets that we do have, and for them, some of those will be in long daycare, so you may not get your first option, but at least you'll have a very solid option within the Nillumbik community. But we will need to, as moving forward, to be looking at putting money aside to develop and to improve the infrastructure for kindergartens. We're going to see a shift in our demographics in the next 10 years, where we believe that there will be an uptick in the number of children who will be wanting to attend kindergarten. And again, we will need to address whether we are going to invest in that. And I would suggest that it is a very important role of council to be investing in these type of issues. And I think we need to partner with the state government to make sure that that happens. So I would make sure that we consider dot point 4 very carefully, and that we start doing the work on it now rather than just sit around wondering what's happened in 10 years' time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor McKay.
Thank you. I'll be voting against this because I'm not entirely comfortable with advocating to the department to enact the requirement that kindergartens must optimise available space. This has come out of a very ambitious government promoting free kindergarten statewide to be rolled out, but the infrastructure for that is now passed on to us. We have wonderful kinders in this shire, and they are in high demand because they are fantastic. Our directors, kinder presidents, committees and educators aren't trying to keep numbers low. They're trying to deliver an amazing early education service, and they don't believe that it should be one child per, square meterage. These are older facilities, there's safety considerations, there are children with high needs that require more input, and we're trying to go for a quality of education. And the reason there are some people that miss out is because the quality is fantastic. We've got very special kindergartens here, and if we decide to start taking on 20-25% more children per space, that won't be the same. The demand won't be there. You are not going nowhere if you don't, unfortunately, get into council kinder. You are going to one of the many private facilities. And I don't think we should delude ourselves thinking that we're going to be a high priority for state government funding to add rooms to our amazing kinders, to build more kinders when we know there are private facilities growing up. That money will be going to major growth corridors. It is not coming to us. So they're trying to be agile already. I spoke to the director and president of Eltham Woods today. They already do rotational models. They already consider doing mixed age groups, which I will say that parents hate mixed age groups. There could be a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old in the same room. It's just not the best model of care for early education. The private places don't do it, and I don't think we should be encouraging that in our kinders as well. So, I appreciate we need to grow here, but I don't think we're getting the support to do that. All we get to do is decrease the quality of our amazing kinders. We need to talk to the parents to see what they want, talk to the directors, see what they want, and these committees. These are very special places in Nillumbik. And I don't think we should leave it up to the state government to start mandating what they think the numbers should be. We should be looking after our people and looking after our parents and our children. So that is why I will not be voting for this.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to congratulate Councillor McKay on her very articulate expression of the problem. We did have some discussions earlier today, and I feel that there seems to be a separation of the children's needs and the centre's needs, and I don't think you can separate those two things. They are one and the same. A lot of work has gone into this, I acknowledge that, and thank you to the officers, both in the state government departments and in our council that have worked, especially on our KISP and other aspects of it. But unfortunately, I think it just is essentially addressing spot fires. The issue is much more complex than needing to advocate, and it needs more of a systems thinking approach. So I won't be supporting this motion this evening either.
Thank you. Okay, any other councillors like to speak? All right, I'll now put this motion to... Oh, sorry, Councillor Brooker.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, I think this is an argument about emphasis. I mean, I agree with Councillor McKay. I think we have an amazing experience of children going to our sessional kindergartens. But they'll only have an amazing experience if they get to enrol in it. And I think the quality of care that is provided, will that be materially impacted if it has 8 more children, which tends to be the case if we went from 22 to 30. It might be impacted a little, but I think the counter against that is you've got 8 more children having that experience that would otherwise have nothing. When I say nothing, that's incorrect, because they would then have an alternative like from a long daycare centre or maybe out of the Shire. So I do think, again, with Councillor Joy, a systems type approach is needed. When you make something free, you are going to get more demand for it, and that is fundamentally the problem here, that the government has made this service free, demand has increased, we're catching up around the infrastructure to provide the services that we have become accustomed to delivering. But in the meantime, in the catch-up space, I do think we need to look at the licensed capacity and get as many children into those kindergartens to have the amazing experience that Councillor McKay refers to, rather than not have that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is the Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation, Planning and Environment Act 1987. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation as per the papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Joy. Councillor Perkins, would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Councillor Joy, would you like to speak? No? Okay. Any other councillors like to speak? Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. The next item is the Instrument of Delegation to the Chief Executive Officer. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Demaret?
As per the papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, I'll second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Demaret, would you like to speak?
Only to say this is, the council really has only one employee, and that's the Chief Executive Officer. We do put a lot of our powers into his hands, and we commend Carl on the job he is doing at the moment. That's pretty much all I would like to say, and we'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mackay, would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Any other councillors like to speak? I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Next item is the instrument of delegation from council to council staff. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Joy?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move this one as per the papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, Mayor.
Councillor Cope? Councillor Joy, would you like to speak? Councillor Cope? Any other councillors like to speak? No. I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to planning amendment, Better Decisions Made Faster Bill 2025. What does this mean for Nillumbik? Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor de Barrick.
Thanks. I would like to make a recommendation that Council notes the changes to the Planning Environment Act 1987 through the Planning Amendment, Better Decisions Made Faster Bill 2025, and B, supports the ongoing position and advocacy led by the MAV on behalf of local government in consultation with councils.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. Councillor de Barrick, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. This bill disappoints me no end, and I don't think it's since the third term of the Kennett government have we seen such arrogance from a sitting government. Under the guise of better decisions made faster, I think it's probably better off described as worse decisions made in absentia. The telltale is on this, or the canary in the coal mine, is that the words fair and safe have been taken out, that a subdivision can be done in 10 days. Fundamentally, councils are in the job of building cohesive communities. Government seems to think that the way best to build cohesive communities is not to allow people to comment on what's happening to them, even if developers are making money at the expense of their neighbours, literally just taking the money off them, putting them into their own things. Further, the safety nets have been taken away of coastal erosion, landslips, contamination, all of that, and fire. They've all been switched off. How does this help with homes when you can't get a home loan on a home that is uninsurable? If it's to improve the speed of building, it just seems to be slowing down. The number of permits that are out there, only about half of them are being taken up at this point. It's not permits that are slowing it down. There's other factors at play. Lack of builders, lack of investment in infrastructure. Materials are hard to get and prices are rising all of the time. If this goes through, parliamentary oversight of the planning provisions will be dismantled. It is really a disappointing piece of policy, and I hope that MAV keeps fighting this on council's behalf. Very rarely did you get 79 councils agree, but they seem to be on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mackay, would you like to speak?
Yes, I will echo that there's partisan support of MAV's position that this bill must have a major amendment or better, go to an inquiry. And this is from 79 councils of all political stripes. We've reached the same conclusion. In regards to how this will affect Nillumbik, there's a loss of local considerations in planning decisions. There has been no consultation or engagement to reflect the standard and size of a reform package at this scale. The process in the lead up to the release of this bill has largely omitted local government, who are the primary decision makers in making planning decisions, from providing feedback, input or advice during the drafting of the bill. Let's be honest, there's clear evidence that speeding up permits does not guarantee that homes were built. Our data in 2022, considering it was post-COVID, 80% of dwellings approved did not commence. 80%. This is where we see a significant increase in interest rates, labour shortage and supply and logistics issues. We know delays are due to feasibility, finance, construction capacity and market behaviour, not due to planning permits. It's going to reduce transparency and community engagement, reducing third-party appeal rights and community notification. Transparency and trust is not built on reducing community notification. This will weaken accountability. Good planning relies on sunlight, public notice and scrutiny. These are council quality controls, not obstacles. What about the potential environmental and climate resilience impacts? We need to strengthen environmental sustainable design requirements, not dilute them. Rising heat risk, declining urban canopy, fast approvals without strong sustainability standards will cost the community for decades. And the administrative burden. The resource challenge is unavoidable. You cannot reform a planning system by demanding councils do more, do it faster, and do it without the staffing and technical support. Pushed in dramatically compressed decision-making timeframes without extra support or safeguards, with misclassification and complex applications arrival, there will be no systems around the work against the ticking statutory clock. It undermines the planner's ability when complexities or risks arrive. Discretion is at the cornerstone of good planning. It impacts heritage, neighbourhood character, tree canopy, or hurry up, and environmental safety, let alone faster decisions for codified residential development, while allowing the consideration of known flood, fire, landslip, coastal erosion and contamination risks to be switched off. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, housing affordability. The bill is silent. No requirement for affordable or social housing, no inclusionary zoning or no mechanism to ensure it delivers public value. We need mandatory inclusion zoning. This bill is missing this entirely. No mechanisms in here outlining the requirements for social and affordable housing. Wasn't this the entire point? This bill is a direct threat to quality, safety and livability of what gets built in our communities.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Any other councillors like to speak? I'll now put... Yes, Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, the many public pronouncements from the Minister of Planning and the Premier over the last 2 years have come from a premise that expanding housing supply will make houses more affordable. To get a little Nillumbik specific, we have some data and there is some evidence that is somewhat at odds with that underlying assumption. And that is that if you make planning decisions easier, you enable capacity to expand as you have removed the constraints on building houses. So let's have a look at how that played out at Nillumbik. We've talked about from 2018 to 2022, 12% from 2018, permits granted, construction never commenced. Up until 2022, in the aftermath of constraints in the housing sector, of finance, of supply chain, of interest rates, those macro forces, it went as high as 80% of permits granted in Nillumbik where construction has not commenced. So that really, I think, demonstrates just facilitating permits does not facilitate construction, which is your premise in pushing forward for a dilution of planning controls. So I think what we really need to do is, and this is not just, I've talked about Nillumbik, but the MAV have given us some statistics across Victoria that show 119,000 planning permits where construction had not commenced over the last 2 years. 86,545 in Melbourne in that time period. What we've observed over the last 2 years is the state government has, in September 23, when they signed their affordability partnership, because this is a consultation they did, with the Property Council, the Master Builders of Victoria, the Housing Industry Association, the Urban Development Institute. It is no surprise when your consultation is of that ilk that you come up with one side of the ledger, that you come up with a policy prescription around the removal of or a substantially reduced role for local government in the planning system. We have a deemed to comply regime, providing you meet certain perfunctory building standards and the removal of the rights we've talked about. Look, we've really got to ask ourselves about the whole direction, the whole philosophical position that has led us to this bill this evening, because there needs to be some serious blowback to it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? No? Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to the appointment of... would you like to...
Through the chair, just to reiterate my general conflict of interest, I'm happy to leave the room.
Oh, okay. We'll just table the item first.
Okay.
Yep. So the next item is the appointment of Independent Advisor and Chair to CEO Employment Matter Advisory Committee. And we'll ask the CEO to...
Happy to repeat that. Just a general conflict of interest with this item, and happy to leave the chamber and return after the item.
Thank you. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Joy?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council accepts the application submitted by the preferred applicant for the redacted sum and enter into the following contract. Number 2526015, Independent Chair and Advisor for the CEO Employment Matters, from the 2nd of February 2026 to the 1st of February 2028. The term with options for term extensions up to 2 years. And that the Council authorises the Director of Governance, Communications and Community Safety to finalise and execute the contract documentation, to approve contract term extensions and to approve changes to operational requirements throughout the term of the contract. Also note that any variations to the approved budget need to come back to Council for resolution. That we advise all tenderers accordingly and make public the decision regarding this contract, but the tender evaluation documentation per the attachments remain confidential per the Local Government Act, and resolve that the preferred applicant be named.
Thank you, Councillor Joy. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Perkins? Councillor Joy, would you like to speak? No. Councillor Perkins, would you like to speak? Any other councillors like to speak? No. I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Oh, Councillor, what? Yep, 1 second. Councillor Joy?
Yes, so just confirming the Council resolution. The Council accepts the application submitted by the preferred applicant, which is Kendria Pope Consulting, for the sum of $40,000, and the rest per the papers.
Thank you. And the final officer report for tonight is the informal meetings of council's records, the 9th of December 2025. Do I have a mover for the recommendation?
Yes, thank you. I'll move that, Mayor, as per the papers.
Thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Councillor McKay, would you like to speak?
Just briefly outline the meeting. So we had a briefing. We've had ESAC, the Environment and Sustainability Committee, the Arts and Cultural Advisor Committee, councillor meeting pre-meets, and extraordinary councillor meeting pre-meet throughout the month of November. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brooker, would you like to speak? No. Any other councillors like to speak? No. Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried unanimously.
Mayor, could I just interject for a second? Just wish you Merry Christmas and the rest of the council group a very Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. We don't have any notices of motion or delegates report.
Can I do a delegates report? Is that right? Sorry.
Sure.
Councillor Joyner and I went to the Mav Merrill Institute training last week, which was a 2-day event, which was actually fantastic. Not that I didn't think it would be fantastic, but sometimes those long conference days sort of are very difficult, but they covered a great many relevant things. It was great to meet other mayors and deputy mayors and hear about what they're doing at their council, and a bit of information sharing and a great learning experience. So I just wanted to highlight that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, well done. Supplementary and urgent business. We don't have any of that or any confidential reports, so we will close the meeting at 8:31. Well done. Thank you. Thank you.